What movies' visual effects have aged like milk, and conversely? What movies' visual effects have aged like fine wine? Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back are 99 wine and 1 mil. All the special effects were amazing for the time, and most of them still are. But there's a couple that really look a little too obvious on rewatching, like the Tauntauns running across the snow, with the very obvious manual cutout where it's pasted over the snowy background, and the pretty jerky stop-motion movement. The mechanical stuff was way better, especially the space scenes. Same deal with Terminator. Mostly excellent even today, but the movement of the defleshed robot is a bit jerky. Terminator 2 is pure perfection. The boring answer is that all the older movies that use practical effects always age better than the ones that use CG. There are some rare early CG movies that I think the rudimentary effects are part of the charm. Tron in particular is a great little time capsule that is still very visually interesting. I also have a soft spot for the graphics in Lawnmower Man, but mostly because it adds to the so bad it's good aspect of it. Jurassic Park and True Lies had incredible special effects that have aged well. Very well, even though they were made decades ago. But a much more recent film or remake, The Thing 2011, uses CGI that were more sophisticated than what those films used, but has not aged well. The Wizard of Oz actually set standards used even today in special effects, especially doing things backwards and then rewinding the film. Car crashes and other accidents, weather events, etc. especially still use that method today, and that was pioneered by The Wizard of Oz. Just watch The Mask with the kid I babysit for the first time since I was a child myself. My God, nothing will ever top that absolute nonsense. The effects could definitely be slightly improved upon with today's tech, but I honestly think it still holds up quite well. Jurassic Park is over 30 years old and still looks better than the sequels. The Mummy Returns had some of the worst CGI I'd ever seen for the Scorpion King, and yet The Two Towers was released the following year with some of the best CGI for Smeagol. Spider-Man No Way Home has already aged like milk. Meanwhile, the Raimi movies and the Amazing movies have aged like wine, mostly for the Raimi films, at least. The live-action Transformers films also still look massively impressive, even in 4K. I'm convinced they made a deal with Satan or some eldritch god to have Jurassic Park have such amazing special effects. It still holds up to this day. I watched it like 2 months ago, and it was better than the current sequels. Reign of Fire. Watched it recently and was surprised at how convincing the dragons looked for an over 20-year-old movie. Milk Terminator. That scene where he's repairing his eye looks comically bad today. The Terror Dogs. Zool and Vince Clortho in the original Ghostbusters 1984. Those creatures looked fake back in 1984, and now 40 years later, they look like someone cut and pasted them onto the screen. The Thing somehow still is terrifying. The Matrix holds up surprisingly well. Terminator 2 is still astoundingly good. Hell, even the first Blade movie is pretty decent, all things considered. Milk the 1996 Space Jam effects. It's like watching a pixelated basketball game on dial-up. Jurassic Park 1993. Those dinos are still more convincing than some CGI today. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie from the 90s has horrible CGI for the Zords. I remember it looking awesome as a kid, but as an adult it's absolutely awful, hahaha. Gone with the Wind. Wizard of Oz. Jurassic Park. Deep Impact. Casper. Milk the Mummy, the Scorpion King. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The special effects in the LOTR trilogy still look amazing today. The special effects in the Hobbit trilogy looked awful from day one, and now look even worse. I don't know if this answers your question, but many of the special effects from Bram Stoker's Dracula were done in camera. They hold up pretty well, I think. Dragonheart was released in 1996. The composition of a CG dragon model into real footage blew my mind then, and I still appreciate the accomplishment now. Milk Jaws 3. Though to be fair, it was sour milk when it was released. Terminator 2. The liquid metal effects are still astounding to this day. Existence still looks like a film that could be made today. The Hulk, on the other hand, looks awful compared to the Marvel Avengers one. Anaconda aged like milk. I swear they seemed great at the time when I was a kid. The Thing aged like fine wine, as did The Fly. Citizen Kane 1940 to her special effects. So good that when you watch you don't even realize it has more SFX shots than Star Wars. Wine. 2001 A Space Odyssey still looks incredible. The original Matrix still looks good. Milk. Fucking Justice League. Those vampires turning into burning skeletons looked really cool when I saw it in theaters. But man, does it look bad now. I always thought some of the CGI in Contact were really good, age better than I was expecting upon a recent rewatch. Starship Troopers 1997 has aged incredibly well. Honestly, for a mid-90s movie, the effects are absolutely incredible. Not a movie, but damn, some of Battlestar Galactica's space flying and battle scenes from 20 years ago still hold up. I would say that Radagast the Brown special effects have aged like milk, but they looked like shit in the theater. Logan's Run came out in 1976. Star Wars came out in 1977. You won't find a bigger gulf in FX than that. Jurassic Park and Terminator to have aged very well considering they are 30 plus years old IMO. Original Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe Aslan running flight scene. First Transformers movie. The Centaurs in Harry Potter don't look much better than characters in the PlayStation game. The Ten Commandments still looks pretty good for 1956. Especially the parting of the Red Sea. The second Pirates of the Caribbean movie. All the Davy Jones CGI has aged like fine wine. I think King Kong 1933 has aged like fine wine, whereas the Hulk 2003 has aged like milk. Dune came out a good 0.15 years ago, but the effects still hold up after all these days. Jaws visual effects have aged so badly that they had to reclassify it as a comedy surely. Fine Wine T2. Spoiled milk Sharknado, from day one. Although that was the point. Jurassic can't believe the first one came out over 30 years ago. Some of the dragon scenes in House of the Dragon are already aged like milk. The stuff with US presidents in Forrest Gump still look pretty good to me. Wine Jurassic Park, Laughter, Milk Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie. The first Matrix holds up really well for being a 25-year-old action movie. Avatar Blue One looks amazing still, and Polar Express didn't age too well. Milk Tron Legacy, Wine Zodiac. Unless you know, you'll never spot the CGI. Milk Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. Wine 2001 A Space Odyssey. Fifth Element still looks pretty good to me. Aged like fine wine to me. Nil any human characters in a Pixar movie prior to The Incredibles. Star Wars still had the best CGI of its time. Absolute masterpiece. Ike about the milk, but Lord of the Rings is the best hands down. Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean still looks fantastic. Wine Terminator 2. Milk Star Wars The Phantom Menace. The Thing still looks awesome. Zero computer animation. Rewatched District 9 the other day. It holds up so well. Flight of the Navigator still holds up very well.